Would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we call roll, Todd, I'd like to welcome Cindy Cairns, the Matthews Town Council representative, to the Area Planning Commission. So we've got a full house. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. That being said, when you're ready, Mr. Glancy, roll call.
Raymond Bear.
Here.
Cindy Carnes.
Here.
Jerry Cardell.
Here.
Gary Duckwall.
Here.
Cale Grindle.
Here.
Ed Hartman.
Here.
Travis Lemaster.
Here.
Karen Poland.
Here.
Clayton Schultz.
Here.
Wilbur Webb.
Here.
Randy Atkins.
Here. Okay. Now we are missing, I believe, a page on the December 1st, 2026 minutes. We could take a quick glance at that. Mr. Glancy has that back page for us. And we can either choose to adopt them or we can table it if you feel like we need additional time to review them. He's got the whole thing, okay.
Hopefully that was the only mistake I made, was that moving that second page off.
Now, there has been some debate as to whether you new members would have the ability to vote on these minutes by not being a participant. I believe in the discussions that I've had, and you can help me, David, if we will, that because this is videoed and you would have the opportunity to view it on the YouTube, it would give you the right to vote on these minutes. Do you agree with that?
That's correct, and that logic was also followed by the BZA
Okay.
previously.
So I say that in hoping that we can get support to get them approved, since the new membership that we have may not give us a quorum with those of us who were on here first. 3, 4, 5.
One here.
He went here 6. So we would. So we're going to need somebody.
I was actually here, though not a member.
We could do this. Oh, Mr. Travis, were you here? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the question is, do we want to approve these minutes or do we want to table them for further review?
I'm going to approve the minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion from Clayton Schultz to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
One second.
I have a second from Karen Poland. Okay, roll call vote. No, I'm sorry. Let's speed us up. Let's do all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Todd, I want you to make a note that in the annual meeting calendar that you issued, the APC, it says 6 o'clock start time. We need to distribute a new one that says 7 o'clock.
Oh. Second mistake.
Told you.
This meeting's at 6 or 7? Because
No.
I thought they said the other meeting was at 6.
Typically, the BZA meetings are at 6 and the APCs follow at 7. But because the BZA did not have a meeting in January, their load became very large. So that's why we made a special exception to this meeting to have it at 8 o'clock. So unless otherwise noted, our meetings will be at 7 o'clock for the rest of the year. And Mr. Glancy will give us a new schedule with that on there.
2026.
It's the third mistake.
Sorry?
At the end, it used to be 2026 when they approved it.
On the minutes. Okay, so so we do have an amendment to this. We've got on this signage signature page that I'm going to do, I'm going to change that to 2026.
Oh, okay.
So this is the second day of the second month of 2026.
You wrote any checks, Todd?
Yeah, keeping track. There's 3.
Checks with the date on them. 2026. I know you've had a long.
That wouldn't require that action not being effective, so we're good. I changed it. Okay, moving on to old business. In your packet, you will have document 0025A and 25B. Scott, I'm going to allow you to give us some background on these documents.
This whole issue started in the BZA and was voted upon in December, I think. And so this issue it's turned into 2 separate issues. That's why we have an A and a B.
Okay.
And we've talked about it, and it's kind of complicated, and we continued it. And I don't want to just leave it go until we've said as a whole staff here to let it go or vote on it. So the first piece is the 25A, which is basically the protection of the BZA from outside influence, that no one should be contacting the BZA members without going through the APC office first. Like they contact us, they email us, and then we send that information on to them. Because they are a quasi-judicial board. And what I laid out within these, the staff assessment is there's quite a few things where they're protected by state law, and there's already wording within our BZA procedures and Indiana case law. So whether we want to an open door law. So within that, we have some options. I laid out some options. There may be another option for this is, we can recommend an ordinance amendment with option A. We can do option B, which is a procedural update, which would be no action is needed. The BZA rules of procedure are already included strong protections against the influence of ex parte communication. Or C, that we determine that the existing protections with state law and within our ordinance and open door law and our current BZA procedures are adequate and the amendment is unnecessary. So, we'll take these A and B separately and make the discussion open. There's people that have particular views on this.
It appears that this deals with BZA, but because it would be an area-wide zoning ordinance change, it has to come before the APC first.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then
And then to the commissioners.
And then to the commissioners for final.
Yeah, this is an ordinance, we're talking about an ordinance change or not.
And the area-wide zoning ordinance is the ordinance that governs Grant County, correct?
Correct.
And if the BZA wants to change their rules and procedures, that's up to them. But whether or not we do something with the ordinance starts with us.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions, commission members? Yes.
What is this? It reads like, or sounds like there's already wording to prevent or penalties for such action. Why are we putting another law in a place where there's already an ordinance, or an ordinance where there's already an ordinance?
If you feel that way, that would be option C, no action.
Is it, the area-wide zoning already addresses the issue of that, so we're putting another one on it that says the same thing, basically?
Only if we choose to.
But the current one already does state that.
Correct.
Yeah, our current ordinance acknowledges the restrictions that the state already has.
And the
Well,
BZA
and-
rules of procedure cover the same road again. Very, pretty clear.
My recommendation is no action, option C.
Some might argue that because of things that happened in the past, it would be wise to make a statement, to repeat it multiple places, or to further clarify, to expound upon it, to make sure that it is even less capable of being misinterpreted and or ignored.
So there were occasions that it was violated.
I'm saying someone might make that argument.
Some might say that you really need to deal with the conduct rather than the actual.
Instead of writing another code, wouldn't there be a penalty that should be implied if a violation has been occurred?
Well, the violation, if it occurs, the BZA board member is to mention that he's been approached by someone
Yeah,
in trying to influence his decision on a petition. And the BZA member should tell them they can't be influenced and they should refer them to the planning director
with the
With
current
that.
or the,
with that information. Whatever it is they're using, they should send that to the director.
okay,
And anything that is given to a BZA member where it doesn't get to the director, the BZA members should mention that in the public hearing. This is information that I received, so that everyone on the BZA has the same information.
okay.
And that's the way it's supposed to be handled, and that's pretty well laid out in our rules of procedure.
Yeah, the current one.
Yeah, the current ones.
Okay.
And we revised those about a year ago.
Are you saying that was a suggestion that if somebody approached a BZA member?
That's the way it's to be handled.
So,
I can't guarantee that'll always happen.
Now, in BZA or APC, if a member is pursuing knowledge of the subject and approaches those people, is that acceptable?
If you're seeking information, I don't see a problem with that.
But they're not
Even
allowed
if you
to.
talk, if the board members talk among themselves and say something like, have you visited the site? Did you notice this? Just, trying to exchange information a little bit so that everyone's dealing with the same information. I don't see that as a problem. I don't see that occurring much either.
Is it the same as the drainage board, as long as there's not a forum in that group? There can't be a forum of the BZA or?
Yes, that would be an alternate meeting
Right.
that wasn't
okay.
open to the public and a violation of open door law.
Okay.
Say like we were all going to a seminar and we stopped at a restaurant for coffee
Or
and
seven
we
of
talked
us.
over something that's coming up
Or
and
just seven.
pretty much made a decision in a restaurant of how we would vote. That would be a violation of open door law
Okay.
because it wasn't a public
Anything
hearing
over a quorum.
and it's more than a quorum.
Okay.
But even if there's only a couple of you, you really shouldn't decide ahead of time.
But
How you're gonna vote or
but to
anything like
discuss
that.
facts and finding of facts,
Facts without trying to
influence.
influence a decision.
Yes,
I see a difference in those two.
yes.
Trying to influence a decision, no, we don't want that.
Okay. I just.
Sharing the facts to be more prepared for a meeting, don't really see a problem there.
I personally agree that option C is the way to go. The BZA can handle it. I think the zoning ordinance is sufficient. I think it can pass. It can die without a motion, personally.
Is that a motion you're making?
No, I think it should die without a motion once we're done talking about it. But
How does it do that?
the zoning ordinance does not change unless we choose. I'm not going to make a motion and vote on not doing anything. We just don't do anything. If I don't want to do the dishes, I don't stand up and say I don't want to do the dishes. I just don't do them.
Is that failure in doing the diligence of the board though?
No, sir.
No,
Motion, agenda items passed without motions,
I'm here learning.
but
Just don't take action.
sounds good.
So,
Okay, so I'll call for a motion on item 150's docket 002-25A. Okay, any questions? Cinda? We okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, how do you make a motion to not do a thing?
what's the difference between not making a motion and
Well,
Making a
for example,
motion.
Mr. Bear, I wouldn't want to be on record saying that I don't want to amend this law, and then something come up later, and then I have to change my mind, and then there's a higher requirement to go back on what this body decided. I think it's a lot safer to just let sleeping dogs lie. It's been brought up to the board's attention to discuss. No one has thought it proper to change the law as it stands. That would be my case.
And then as a recommending board, so we're not making, okay, I gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay, one more call of a motion. Hearing none, this item will die with no motion. Okay, moving on to item B.
So with the second portion of the docket 00225, deals with minor variances, like setback variances of 10% of that setback or less. Can be done by a hearing officer, as stated in our ordinance, and that hearing officer is also stated as the director. So there's a few options to tighten this up, because in the past, it was at least perceived by some that was being abused. And since this has been, I just want to make one other thing clear, since this has been on the docket, on the APC docket all year, not having a decision on it, I performed under a very conservative point of I've not made, as the hearing officer, I've not made any variance decisions. Everything that was any kind of variance went to the BZA. So I was not giving anyone the 10%. So after tonight, if we take an action on this, it's basically keep me as the hearing officer. You make someone else the hearing officer, or you can just not have a hearing vote to not have a hearing officer at all. And then we will remain with no minor variances being given out of the APC office. And then the last option is we could actually take all that wording out, and that mechanism will not be in place at all, ever. And that would be an ordinance change. But we can vote tonight to just simply not have a hearing officer, and then that brings us down to no minor variances coming out of the office.
So, basically, the way it was is that in the event that there was a variance that was less than 10%, the executive director would have the ability to go ahead and approve that without it coming before the BZA. That was a concern of the BZA members last year, and the BZA voted for that area-wide zoning ordinance amendment to be changed to where that there would not give the hearing officer the opportunity to make that 10%, that any variance request would have to come before the BZA. I said on the BZA, and what we felt was that we weren't that busy. Why would we want to put the executive director in a position of making that decision when we, as the BZA, are established to do that? And so we wanted to go ahead and have the ability to hear any variances that came before the BZA. Now, the BZA approved it last year, and actually the APC approved it also. The APC at that time approved it. We changed some executive directors, and I don't know that ever got, through the whole system, and that's why it's before us today. Ed, anything to add?
No, that's fine. One point is, it's not like we're veering off from state code. In state code, the minor variance paragraph is an alternate procedure that can be chosen by the APC to help expedite the hearing process. However, that hardly helps it at all because the hearing process has to be followed. It has to be advertised. Adjacent neighbors have to be notified. A hearing has to be scheduled. Public hearing has to be scheduled. All those things have to be done. It doesn't speed things up much at all. But it leaves out there a feeling that was a problem in the past, in that you put the executive director in this kind of a position where he can make a minor variance. And sometimes it gets to be an abbreviated process where somebody comes in for a building permit and he's like, oh, you're in violation of the setback here by 5 feet. Oh, I can just give you that right now.
Instead of
going through the hearing process. And that's a little bit of a slippery slope. As we saw in one case, there was supposed to be a setback of 25 feet for the construction of a barn. However, the area plan director was standing on the premises when they were building it 7 feet from the property line. And the petitioner just mentioned when they were then brought into a public hearing, when the neighborhood complained that why is he getting to build his barn so close to the property line? I had to build mine 25 feet away. It was mentioned that, well, the director said if anybody complains, we can always go to the BZA and just get a variance after the fact. That's why we may have been having so many of those. So anyway, it's that slippery slope where you put somebody in a position and they give it for one guy and the next guy in wants something too. And he's like, what do you mean no? Well, it's 20%. Yeah. Well, you gave it to Joe. Why, we are contractors. We all talk. We know. So it's it just puts that into a difficult.
Question, commission members.
I just think it takes a lot of pressure off the executive director to have the board decide it and not them.
Mm-hmm. Other comments?
It's a comment, but I see the dilemma, but going from 25 feet down to 7 feet is not 10%, it'd be 2.5 feet. There's a violation on that. I mean, it wasn't 10% change, it was quite more. But I have issues with the delay in the process of getting simple things done with the BZA APC only meeting once a month. And if by chance you don't have a quorum, then it's 2 months out before a simple possible variation may be able to be passed. But
I would think that if the only instance where that would delay anything is if there wouldn't be a quorum at the next BCA meeting, because you still have to, like Ed said, you still have to follow all the process. You have to do everything. You get the sign in the yard,
Advertise
it. Yeah.
you still have to have the public hearing.
Yeah.
You're not stopping anything if you're.
Yeah.
It would not be right for the adjoining landowners or residents to not have the ability to attend a public hearing. That's the point of this. It comes back to the same process.
They still have to be advertised. They still have to be notice sent out. The hearing can end up with the public there. You haven't really you haven't really expedited anything, but in some counties, they get backlogged where it's 3 months to get into the BCA. And then this alternate procedure was something that was adopted to kind of help those counties out. And you can also have an additional division of your BZA if you wanted to, if things got really heavy with the load that the BZA was taking. You could have another division of the BZA.
I was wondering about which you've already answered. The BZA is not interested in instead of the director being the hearing person, having a person from the BZA be that person too. Because there are setbacks you have to have a certain width for properties to put a house on. Your house has to be a certain width compared to the size of the house. I'm not talking the major variations, just minor variations that may be able to be approved without having to wait a month for a meeting.
You make a good point. However, also, if you got to jump through a few hoops, maybe you just build according to code, and that 2 or 3 feet doesn't really mean much to you in the whole scheme of things after all.
But it can if you're going up against a ditch or against a road. 2 feet can make a world of difference. And
You need it, and you got to make your plans for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make plans anyway.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get up and add on to the house.
Well,
It's due process for the neighbors too, right?
Yes.
I just voicing myself. I'm on board with.
You're making good points. I'm glad everybody gets to
I-
think them over a minute.
I've never been one to sit quietly. Randy will attest to that.
We had one where it actually across the street, they built a house. They took the 10 foot between, off and made it what, 6 feet in or something, 5 or 6 feet. They done it, so I mean, they made a quick decision, but they did still have to go in front of the thing, but
again,
things like that, and it's small between. So I mean, it's just one of those things that I just think it's best to stay, in my opinion.
I wouldn't be the one. I would not want to be the one person just deciding things like that. I like having a board decision.
Centralized power is ripe for corruption.
You got it.
So we have some options. Mr. Glancy has recommended. Would somebody like to make a motion towards one of the options available?
You want me to walk through the options again?
Yeah.
Yes. Are we good? Let me walk through the options. So option A is to retain the current ordinance and maintain the director as the hearing officer. And so that puts that 10% on the director. Option B is retain the current ordinance, but you vote tonight to remove the director as a hearing officer with no replacement appointed. So that way, there's no minor variances given. All variances, regardless how big or small they are, go to the BZA. That's what we've been operating under for this last year.
But the area-wide zoning ordinance does not change.
That's right, so it doesn't have to
No change, we don't have to take it to, there's no law change, we don't take it to the commissioners. And that option stays open in 20 years. If we have a big housing boom and we get underwater, it gives that mechanism comes back to play. Option C is retain the current ordinance and appoint a different hearing officer. And option D is amend the ordinance to remove the hearing officer mechanism completely. So, and that's the 4 that I come up with. You can certainly come up with another option.
I have a quick question, Mr. President, if you don't mind, for Mr. Hartman and yourself. How strongly, personally, I like B just because it doesn't have to go through the commissioners, but it's a BZA thing. I don't care that much. If they prefer that it goes through the zoning ordinance change, how do you feel like that would be okay if we did B, or would it and that way the power remains with the APC and it doesn't have to go through the commissioners? Or would it be better to just go all the way and go to the commissioners and have the ordinance changed?
As long as members of this commission through time and the executive director through time understand that that decision was made tonight, that's all good. But if that's not, the area-wide zoning ordinance gives.
It's
that.
easy to forget.
Correct.
I was gonna say,
Fair enough.
Yeah, memories fade, people forget, it's there.
Yeah. Like it says here, 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, if we get, something happens and we have a big influx and we get busy, you're gonna remember that's an option at that point. If You know, if we get all swamped and backlogged, we'll remember that's in there. So,
Or you could just, or you'd have to re-amend it.
so if you do D though, and it gets to that point, then you got to go through all that to bring it all the way back. And who knows when we get to that point? B appears to take it off the table,
Yes.
but leaves it
But it leaves it open.
easier to bring it back in case we need to bring it back.
And it's something that the APC can visit every year.
And should.
Yes.
I think.
I come in
When
and
we
vote
elect
on that
officers,
every year.
Hearing officers, one of them,
Yeah.
I think, but, I don't know.
We start good habits and hopefully they continue.
See, that's the blessing and the curse. It's a good thing if the BZA wants it and we want it, that it can come back easily, but it's also a bad thing if they don't want it.
And it comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they don't want it and it comes back.
Right.
It is an alternate procedure. And you could just put in recommend changing the area-wide zoning ordinance to say repealing the alternate procedure. That's what they do in state code. You see the number and it's repealed and the date. You say that. And then at any point in time, years down the road, if you wanted the alternate procedure, you could amend the area-wide zoning ordinance to bring the alternate procedure back in. But if you leave it in there halfway, at some point, somebody's going to think, well, who's the hearing officer? Well, we need somebody. Let's make it.
So if you repeal it, but you want to bring it back later, that's still
So you
decisions
could
made
just,
within
if it's
this
still
board
in
here.
state law,
Yeah.
you could bring it back in. You know, that's one of the things about state code is it gets updated once in a while, but we don't think about fixing the area-wide zoning ordinance very often.
Other questions, comments, commission members?
Do we want to examine another option with what he was talking about then with the repeal? Because that's not one of these, right?
It's kind of close, the one that just takes it out.
It's just different wording for
It's
D.
different
right?
wording.
Yeah.
It's D. It's D, isn't it? Is that?
Yeah, D basically.
We'll entertain a motion, Ed.
You want me to make it?
I do.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we repeal the alternate procedure.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Hartman to repeal the alternate
Procedure from the area-wide zoning ordinance at 153.104.
from area-wide zoning ordinance 153.104. So we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
We have a second from Travis Lemaster. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Glancy, when you're ready.
Raymond Bear.
I think he's done this one.
Raymond Bear.
Yes.
Cindy Carnes.
Yes.
Jerry Caudell.
Yes.
Gary Duckwall.
Yes.
Kel Grindle.
Yes.
Ed Hartman.
Yes.
Travis Lemaster.
Yes.
Karen Poland.
Yes.
Clayton Schultz.
Yes.
Wilbur Webb.
Yes.
Motion
passes.
carries. All right. Moving on to new business. Mr. Glickfield.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, by the way. I wanted to get that off all week long.
Just to follow up on that, so the next move then is to take that to the commissioners and ask them to, that'll be done, get on their agenda.
Oath of office.
Very good. What we did earlier, Mr. President, and BZA, which I think worked quite smoothly, is just had everybody stand and do it all at once rather than individually. I'm assuming you're okay with that?
Entire commission, correct?
It
Or
could
just
be-
new members?
Well, whoever hasn't done it before, I would think would be new members. So
Okay.
I think just new members, yeah.
New members, if you would, please stand and oath of office for Mr. Glickfield.
Very good, everyone. Having been appointed to serve as members of the Grant County Area Plan Commission, do you each solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Indiana, faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Area Plan Commission member according to law, that you will act in the best interest of the citizens of Grant County, that you will perform your duties without favoritism or bias, and you will comply with all applicable Indiana statutes, local ordinances, and adopt the rules of procedure governing the Area Plan Commission, so help you God. Start with you, Mr. Hartman.
I will.
Mr. Webb.
I will.
Mr. Duckwall.
I will.
Mr. Grindle.
I will.
Ms. Carnes.
I will.
I think that's everybody. Thank you.
All right, you guys are official.
So I need the forms and I need to put those and file them at the clerk's office.
Okay, so they have,
I don't have,
You fill those forms out, David will, there's a,
I don't have that form.
Kind of looks like this.
oh. Okay,
I had it for the last meeting, you know, I have it for the.
Yeah.
how many forms do I need?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
okay, so 5-2, I think we could begin with Mr. Bookout.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome. Congratulations, new members, and welcome old members who've been here a while. I haven't called any of you ahead of the meeting, and Mr. Dustin Meeks from Barnes and Thornburg, he told me, he said, I hope we don't die for lack of emotion tonight, because that's what's going to be on my tombstone. So,
Dead for lack of emotion.
dead for lack of emotion. There you go. So I'm Brad Bookout. I'm with Augusta Consulting. Our firm has had the pleasure to work with the Grant County Commissioners since April of last year. The Grant County Commissioners, we undertook a scope of work to create the first ever Grant County Redevelopment Commission. The Grant County unincorporated areas have not had a redevelopment commission in the past. Our firm has worked with redevelopment commissions in other places for 15, almost 20 years. Well, yeah, almost 20 years now. So anyways, we were happy to help with that scope of work. They established the commission. I've got some notes here. Let me tell you here. Midsummer, they formed the commission. Commissioner Shane Middlesworth is president. Victoria Herring is vice president. Mark Lemming from the county council is, I believe, treasurer or secretary. I'm sorry, it's secretary. Frank Hicks from the county council is a member. Tim Street's a member. And then Chris Duckwall is the school board appointee. That's a non-voting position for the County Redevelopment Commission. So first order of business is to start looking at the county and studying unincorporated areas. So that was a big task we undertook. And, you know, we've basically worked in cooperation with Mr. Glancy to find maps, find areas in the county that were zoned industrial or commercial, that were not in a city or town, had some kind of logistical superiority or looked like it could be in an area of growth. We shared those different maps and concepts. We had maps everywhere, way more than we probably should have, but the commission decided to start with 2 areas. So the resolution has been presented and approved in a preliminary form of the County Redevelopment Commission. It has to go through a few steps. You are one of those steps. The commissioners are one of those steps. Then back to the County Redevelopment Commission for their final vote, actually a public hearing, and then a final vote. So what you have before you is a resolution with some preliminary maps that have been approved by the board in the unincorporated areas. So I think the first one on your agenda is first, and excuse me for not knowing, is first the West Side EDA. Okay. This is basically West Side outside the Marion city limits. And it's a sawtooth. These maps are not, it's you either follow some significance of roadways, or you follow some semblance of zoning, or you follow some semblance of zoning and then extend it out just a little bit beyond the zoning to allow for future growth. So you want to make sure that you're kind of incorporating that. So I'm happy to answer questions about the maps. But before we get there, I'd like to let Dustin Meeks from Barnes and Thornburg share a little bit about the resolution, so you'll understand what we're here doing and what you're here to approve.
Good evening, President Akins and members of the Plan Commission. Thank you so much for having me. So the resolution for the Area Plan Commission in the process for approving a new economic development area and an economic development plan, which is what the Redevelopment Commission has proposed, is a pretty narrow statutory ask. The Plan Commission is asked to review the economic development plan identified for the economic development area and make a determination about whether doing that stuff in that spot conforms with the comprehensive plan of development for the county. So what is in the economic development plan in this declaratory resolution is generally the development of infrastructure in the area between the city of Marion and the town of Sweetser, because that area is underserved by infrastructure and as a result has not developed. And then additionally, it provides in the event that an opportunity did come up for the Redevelopment Commission to work directly with a developer in this area to get a particular project done. There's none that are sort of identified at this time, but in the future, they would be allowed to sort of work together to get development done in this area. But primarily, just based on the size and scope, we're looking really at infrastructure. That's the big problem here, is that there's inadequate public infrastructure to build things in this kind of space between the two communities. After the determination here that there was conformance with the comprehensive plan, it would go to the Board of Commissioners, and they would approve the plan and the map, and then back to the Redevelopment Commission, as Brad said, and there's a public hearing at that point in front of the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission gets an opportunity to make any adjustments that they need based on the public feedback that they get, and then the area would be created. I always like to note at the Plan Commission stage that this approval, which is under the redevelopment statute, is kind of totally separate from the planning and zoning statute. And so what it doesn't change at all is the planning and zoning applicable to any of the parcels in this area. What it does is it approves a plan that the Redevelopment Commission can kind of pursue in this area. But if executing on that plan or developing in this area requires a change to planning and zoning, that would come to this body under the planning and zoning statute separately from this. So I always like to note that it doesn't change that. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the process or about the map as well.
Do you have another copy of the map by chance?
Yeah.
Now, a whole bunch of you can't ask because I only have the one copy of it, but.
So I have two questions, gentlemen, if you're ready.
Absolutely.
First, I mean, you mentioned infrastructure, that it's underserved. What, I mean, I see roads on the map, I presume there's power lines. What, are we talking about running water and sewer out there? What are we say infrastructure for what on that?
Yeah, primarily underdeveloped sewer and water systems for commercial and industrial development out in that area. And then usually also we have to increase the size and scope of road infrastructure. Those are your sort of most common build outs. Yeah.
And the second question, I read through this. It sounds very similar to tax increment financing. Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah. So the other item that is baked into this is that the parcels that are identified in the economic development area are also going to be in an allocation area. So when incremental value is created in these areas as a result of new development, that would be the revenue source that the Redevelopment Commission would be using to get the infrastructure built out. So the idea is that you're going to have growth, but to get growth, we have to do the infrastructure build out. So the Redevelopment Commission, when they see an opportunity, right, to kind of make that connection, we build this infrastructure, it's going to create growth, and that's going to generate the revenue in this area. They would do a long-term financing. So there's a whole approval process collaboratively between the Redevelopment Commission and the commissioners, and you'd have a long-term debt obligation that the incremental property taxes would be used to pay that off. So you allow the new growth over sort of the initial period of development to pay off the infrastructure that gets the growth done.
What happens if the city annexes it?
The redevelopment commission has jurisdiction over what's called a redevelopment district, which is coterminous with the jurisdiction of the county. And the city also has a redevelopment commission, and its redevelopment commission has jurisdiction over a district that is coterminous with the city. So what happens when you have conflict between two redevelopment districts is so the city is able to annex, the county is not. If the city annexes territory that is in an economic development area of another redevelopment commission, if there was debt outstanding payable from the parcels that were annexed, the revenues stay with the redevelopment commission that issued the debt. But the jurisdiction still goes to the redevelopment district that owns it. And so when that debt is paid off, the revenues, if there was a few, so say for example, you had a parcel and Marion annexed it. The first question is there any debt that is payable from tax increment generated by that parcel? And if there's not, then Marion sort of owns it lock, stock, and barrel. It falls out of the county's economic development area because it's under the jurisdiction of the city. If there's debt, it's under the jurisdiction of the city, but the revenue continues to go to the county until the debt is paid off. And at which point, Marion would own it lock, stock, and barrel.
So if the county was to TIF it,
Yes.
they would have to create some debt towards that TIF in order to be able to receive any proceeds from Marion choosing to annex and develop.
Correct. And there's a whole process for doing that, incurring a debt obligation. And you know, the challenge often with sort of like a pure TIF-backed debt obligation is that in the bond market, when I'm not doing pure redevelopment law, I'm a bond lawyer. In the bond market, those obligations are usually difficult to place. So it's that largely because TIF is by its nature kind of a speculative revenue source, right? We're saying there's going to be money because we're going to build stuff, but that's in the future. And so usually, right, when we're talking about a young TIF area, you end up in the situation where either the developer who you're working with, where they're going to build this thing and we're going to help them get it done, they're going to buy the TIF bond. So basically, they build the project and we give them credit for what they've invested in the project, and they get the TIF revenues back over 20, 25 years, and that helps them offset their investment in doing the work themselves. Or in the alternative, the county has to put some kind of additional revenue source that they're going to pledge to back up the TIF, which makes it marketable. And so, it's not easy. It's not incredibly simple to just throw some debt on it really quickly in an attempt to try to keep another unit, right, from getting access to those revenues, particularly because while annexation can be very complicated, when you have sort of a willing property owner and it's a voluntary annexation, that process is much simpler than the process for the redevelopment commission to issue debt.
So how does a town like Sweetser keep from being gobbled up by Marion if they were to annex it?
So towns and cities are different from the county. So unincorporated county, just as like sort of the nature of the different levels of government, towns versus counties, is that the counties are structured to eventually sort of become incorporated over time, right? That's how but it doesn't go the other way. And cities and towns can't really gobble each other up.
Like Sweetser can't, there's property that we can't go after because it's within so many miles of the city of Marion without getting permission from the Marion City Council.
Right. So it's their towns and cities are protected in ways that unincorporated county are not. And really, I think constitutionally and sort of statutorily, that is because the county government level is structured to be sort of the fallback government when there's not a closer local government. And so the state, like the General Assembly, when they write the laws, they kind of want cities and towns to handle things. And where there's not city and town, you get the county, right? And so that's why the county's not protected in the way that cities and towns are. Yes.
The master mentioned that you would have to get permission from Marion if you wanted to buy property. Does that go in reverse? Does Marion have to get permission from Sweetser if they want to get close enough to
It's because of
Sweetser?
the borders are so close. I was just giving a hypothetical, right? Because there's some of our borders go against each other. Depends which way we're gonna go, right?
Oh, with this map, like Randy was asking if they were to annex this incorporated red.
Their borders already come right up on pretty much most of that.
But would they have to ask permission if they got within some close to Sweetser? I didn't know if it worked both ways.
Ask an attorney.
This is where at the absolute edge of my knowledge of annexation. So I'm gonna say that I'm a lawyer, not a wizard. But I believe the sort of the order of priority is the cities trump towns.
State Trump towns because they're larger.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have to ask Sweetser.
I think Marion gets certain liberties that Sweetser does not.
Same piece of property, Marion.
I think it's fair to say that if your concern is Marion gobbling up Sweetser, there's only so much you can do about it. But having this won't hurt. It provides an avenue if business owners or people wanted to build here, if the infrastructure could be financed by the county, that would at least disincentivize annexation from Marion for a time.
Well, this would create an opportunity for TIF financing, as you're talking about, in that area, right? So you get one or two businesses going in there, and then that revenue is built in that district. So then you're going to use that money to build the infrastructure to bring more business in there. That's the whole point of it,
You're
right?
exactly right.
Because you identify all these parcels, and that's what you're doing. Because you're saying this west side EDA is going to be where we're developing, right? So that you're using that as your point. So in other words, you're not going to build a business here and take that revenue from that and then put it on the over towards Gas City side, right? It's got to stay right here to the west side.
Right, yeah, so revenues generated in an economic development area have to be used in or serving the economic development area, that's correct. And the, sort of philosophically, the question we're always asking is why has development not happened here? And that's kind of the problem that we're solving for. And so West Side makes sense because you have this space between Marion, which is a big city, and Sweetser, which is out there and in a good sized little town. And even still with two population centers on either side of it, this spot hasn't been developed. And that means it's just kind of clear for the county, if we can solve some economic development hurdles, we get development here. But there have to be hurdles because nobody's doing it, sort of naturally. That's what we're trying to solve for.
Other questions or comments, commission members?
Yes. How many acres is this area that you have drawn here?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I have not added up the acreage of that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
This little section here with these two fields,
That's where the CIE is.
no, they're above, right in here.
Probably
They're north of the tracks, right?
CIE is the blue one, the blue.
You're talking about the large
CIE
yellow
is
tracks
north of the
south
tracks.
That little
CIE is
blue
north of
ball.
the tracks, right? So,
Blob right there.
but this section here,
That's 18 right here.
these two farm fields are 425 acres. You move that around here, you're looking at least 3-4 times that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if you're aware what's in the comprehensive plan, or that is considered prime farmland. Every bit of what you're looking at here, except what's already developed by CIE. Encourage the preservation of agricultural land and local businesses. Promote only responsible expansion of city limits and utilities in the unincorporated areas. It's a page and a half of references in the comprehensive plan, depending on how you type it there. But there's a lot of references in there about protect the integrity of agricultural and environmentally sensitive areas. And they also want to encourage you to redevelop brownfields areas that are blight. You know, rather than take our prime farmland, the west side of the county's very good. And the whole county, when you look at the map of what prime farmland is, it's the whole county except what's under development. We're very blessed to have great farmland, you might say, compared to other areas, counties, states, etc. But so, and then there's always the question of a TIF. If you take out a big bond and you develop some roads and you sewers and water, and you've created a nice industrial park, but nobody comes to build there, you're on the hook for some money, aren't you?
No.
Aren't you going to be paying back that bond without
do you want to
increased
explain
revenue
to us?
coming in?
So almost, I have done in the 5 years of doing TIF bonds up and down the state. One time I've done a spec building where we kind of didn't know who they were going to put in it in an industrial park. And other than that, never have I ever done like totally field of dreams. If you build it, they will come kind of development. Almost always what we're talking about is you have a prospect who's looking in this area, and we want to be set up to say we can deploy resources to help get infrastructure to this site that you've identified to get a specific project done. Almost always, again, in the context of a detailed project agreement between the redevelopment commission and the prospective developer, kind of laying out obligations. And usually, if there's going to be kind of any county resources beyond the TIF backing these things up, what we do is we'll structure the provision of the bond proceeds as a loan. Which is also beneficial to the developer. It allows them to amortize out the income that they receive. But so they're on the hook for paying back the bond in the event there isn't adequate revenue generated from the project. And then additionally, what we frequently will do is what's called a minimum taxpayer agreement, where the developer agrees to a tax lien on the property that they're going to develop, which guarantees a minimum amount of revenue.
So what you're saying is you would not do a development without a developer on the hook for it.
That's what I was going to explain.
I guarantee.
It's important to note that with a TIF district, a bank is not going to lend money unless there's a project going in that is a viable tax-paying entity that they know that captured tax revenue can make the bond payment. So the County Redevelopment Commission would never speculatively issue debt that would have to be approved by the county council, of which they would never do it unless there was a for sure economic development agreement in place with an end user developer who's guaranteeing to make a minimum taxpayer agreement payment.
And the nice thing about, so these two areas are significant in size, right? And sometimes we will do very site specific allocation areas, for a very specific development. Where Grant County is, because there's no existing economic development areas in the county, establishing these, right, and sort of identifying these areas of development they're a good start because they signal to companies that are potentially, like they're looking around the state for developable land, that Grant County has and understands the tools that are available to them, right, and has identified these areas, as appropriate for future development. It is prime farm ground, but it's prime farm ground right there next to Marion, under a lot of development pressure. So
And there's plenty of places in Marion that need redeveloped.
And boy, oh boy, is the Marion Redevelopment Commission busy. I assure you of that.
Okay, but why such a large area?
Yeah.
This is really a big area. Why such a large area? Certainly don't have a developer ready to bite off something anywhere near that size.
No. No one's developing for, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres for this. So the reason, right, that we do, sometimes, like I said, we sometimes will do site-specific TIFs, sometimes we'll do what we call a big TIF. And this is really about marking out an area where we expect development is going to happen. And the benefit of doing this large of an area is if the count, you're already set up to capture, right, the tax increment. If the county is able to bring in a developer through targeted kind of intensive collaboration on a project agreement. Once one company is there and is successful, other companies come in and they sort of leech off of the infrastructure. We're already set up to capture the increment, and that gives us additional future revenue to build off of. So the nice thing about having space that is already in an EDA in an allocation area is if organically development happens in this area, which is what we hope, it allows us to start, like the ball gets rolling slowly and it starts to pick up a lot of momentum. So the redevelopment commission eventually has a pretty significant pool of money, and you can do more significant projects, or you get to a point where you have, I mean, like truly like a blockbuster change the community kind of development that takes significant revenues. And if you have a big diverse TIF with a lot of history, makes it easier to work with banks to get financing for that kind of thing. And so why so big? Because we've never done it before. And you want to be in a position where you are in 25 years or more, depending on when you incur your first debt obligation, you might have some significant revenues to do really big, important things. And also because we don't really know which parcel is the parcel. So it's really hard to be specific right now. What we know is this big area is sort of ripe for development, but isn't developing. And we think that if we can draw attention to it and have some tools to take advantage as opportunities come up, you can really do a lot of jazz in this spot.
From your experiences, why wouldn't a developer choose Marion East to I-69 State Road 18 that already has utilities in place?
You mean the other area?
The other end between east of Marion, which I believe is annexed along State Road 18, clear to I-69.
I can answer a little bit of this. So first off, we never know where they're going to want to go. There may be some advantage to being on one side of the county over the other. Another thing may be the price of land. There's a couple developers who've got some land east on 18, and I'm embarrassed of the prices that they've told me that it is per acre. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars per acre is asking price. Not all of it, but there are a couple parcels that are extreme right now. There's also, for instance, the ethanol company that went that direction. They didn't choose to go towards the highway. They wanted to be that direction. There may be people who live in small towns that want to come to that side of town, want to be closer to their home or closer to a location. So we can't predict it. So it's part of the reason for the size. We don't know exactly where in there. We don't want to miss a spot, but at the same time, we can't predict. We're betting on the come. We're hoping, we're laying the framework, we're laying the groundwork for future development in that area. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take time to build this out and make this happen. All we're doing today is just laying groundwork.
So you're planning on gaining right now incremental financing, not any bond?
That is correct. No bond issuance. We have nothing to service debt that's planned in this area. There are parcels that are not even zoned in this area that would have to come back to you for a zoning approval on those parcels.
And that's what I was going to say, that they kind of address. I hear what you're saying about the farm ground. The good news is this doesn't rezone anything.
Yeah.
This basically just lays the groundwork for a different taxation framework. And if, like, to me, the closer to the State Road 18 it is, the more it makes sense, and the further away, kind of the less it makes sense. So, but those can be a case by case coming before the APC or the BZA to rezone if needed. We're not agreeing to a whole lot here, I feel like, but.
So in example case, in 1994, the town of Daleville, Indiana, decided to create an economic development area over the entirety of the town. So that happened, and it was process just like this that took
Town of Sweetser did the same thing
Did the
about
same.
4 years, about 7 years ago.
7 years ago. So from 1994, I mean, it's been a long time. I know some of us, it doesn't seem like it seem like it was yesterday, but it's been a long time. Over time, they continued to, businesses built in that TIF area. They captured the revenue from that. In 18, they built a $4.5 million splash park in the town with revenue from that. They just built a new town hall. So they've been able to supplement the county doing things. They buy new police cars, they buy new backhoes with funding from that TIF district. So that has helped them. Am I saying that this is going to take that long? We don't know. We can't predict it at all, but we're at least drawing an area of a map. So, Mr. Bear, you've been wanting to get a question in for a long time.
On this map you provided, why is it down west of Troy Avenue and north of 9th Street? From 9th Street to 18 and from Troy Avenue.
What is it, carve out? Why is there a carve out?
Oh, the carve out in the middle. So yeah, that's a really good point. So you want to address this? You want me to take it?
It goes back to the jurisdictional question that this is the jurisdictional spot. So it's the counties and the county's redevelopment commission's understanding that very imminently the city of Marion intends to annex that location. And so for the reason that sort of we could put it in our EDA, but if it's going to become Marion's in the next 3 or 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, we're not going to there's not going to be a debt obligation on that spot before Marion would act on it. And so it's pulled out because the city of Marion is expected to move first.
So there's a northern section to this and a southern section to this with that little cutout part in the middle.
Yes. They do all touch, but yeah, kind of. They touch gently.
The intersection.
They touch a little bit.
So
Yeah.
325 or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Too small.
But the area south of that, the southern part of that's terrible as far as drainage. I mean, it is drained. It goes to the city of Marion to the Shields ditch and then to the Lomax ditch, but that lower section is terrible as far as drainage. And the infrastructure that is there is not going to be adequate to handle improvement or increased runoff. I mean, you can detention ponds and slow stuff down, but it's not a great area for drainage.
Okay. I'm catching up. The part that's carved out, that you're telling us that most likely will be annexed by Marion, removes the county from receiving any potential TIF benefits if development was to occur there, correct?
Correct, but just like to note, the county can't stop Marion from taking jurisdiction.
But if they TIF'd it before it was annexed,
that wouldn't change anything.
It wouldn't change anything either.
The only thing it would change if the county put it in its area and issued a debt obligation, which is complicated because you'd have to find somebody to buy your debt obligation, and there's just the county is just not at the place where there's any sort of cognizable plan that you might sell to an investor, right? And even if you did, what you would get, the revenue that would come out of that parcel would be the revenue that was extant at the time that you issued the debt, and everything else would be under Marion's jurisdiction. So you can't. The county's redevelopment commission has no power to stop the city of Marion, and so what the county's redevelopment commission has done is recognizing that they're going to probably lose jurisdiction over those parcels in the near future. They've just not bothered to include them.
okay.
Yeah.
That aligns with my understanding.
Yes, they do. Sorry, Mr. Grindle, I apologize. Yeah.
How does these EDAs affect those of us who live within the boundaries of the EDA?
Yeah.
Those of us who do not want developed area. What does this mean for us?
So in terms of sort of day-to-day lived experience, property owners wouldn't notice anything. What changes is in the event as if property values increase in these areas, the increase in the value of property taxes generated in the area would flow to the redevelopment commission for the purpose of undertaking the economic development plan, which may lead to more development, or is intended to lead to more development in these areas. So if a resident was sort of vehemently opposed to development in these areas, the objective here is that these areas would be developed. And that's a really good sort of textbook expression that should be made at the public hearing before the redevelopment commission, before they would confirm the approval of these. The plan commission is sort of a statutorily ill-suited body to appeal to for this purpose, because what the approval here is really narrow. It's just, does this plan conform to the comprehensive plan for the county in this spot? If that makes sense.
So I know you kind of touched on how you made up these maps. If, say, a couple landowners get together, all close to each other, they say, we don't want any part of this. Do you redraw that map?
So the redevelopment commission is permitted at the last stage. They can excise parcels, so they could adjust their map smaller at the end stage if people were really upset, but they're sort of under no obligation to do that.
So you're, I'm gonna hold my tongue. Okay.
Other questions or comments, commission members? Okay, then I believe that we are to entertain addressing the first one. Need to do these separately, don't we, gentlemen?
It's at your discretion.
David? Separately?
Separate.
Yeah. Okay. So we will start with the West Side Economic Development Area. Any questions about what we are approving or disapproving here this evening?
What are we approving?
What we are
Recommendation.
What we are agreeing to, and you guys help me, is that this aligns with the comprehensive plan. That is our role, since we are responsible for the development of the comprehensive plan. Anything to add, David?
No, I think that's exactly right. Todd has written in the staff recommendation that the Area Plan Commission finds a declaratory resolution establishing the I-69 State Road 2060, well, that's for the next one. Economic development area be consistent with the Grant County Comprehensive Plan. So what you said, Mr. President, is exactly correct.
What were you quoting, Ed, when you were saying about the farmland?
I was quoting the comprehensive plan. Here's another excerpt. The abundance of agricultural land in Grant County is a strength. It should be preserved from sprawl and development, especially large developments that generate little economic benefit for the county. And that's just a small part of it. This is not in any alignment with the comprehensive plan that was developed in the past year, as I see it anyway.
Doesn't the comprehensive plan also speak towards targeted development in areas, strategic development? I mean, I agree in
It's
general.
more into redevelopment,
Into
of
redevelopment.
brownfields and light. But it's highly into protecting farm ground.
I'm just troubled that these two areas are connected. It seems like two different issues to me. The north portion and the south portion.
The southern portion doesn't have an outlet like the northern does with the 18.
And the north portion's along 18. It makes sense to run things along 18. Things run along 18 the other way. They're gonna be along 18 and
And the
30
railroad.
anyway. It's a question of who gets the revenue.
And there's a railroad there too.
Yeah. So yeah, but
It just seems very large.
yeah, I agree. I understand. Mr. President, I will move to approve that it conforms with the Grant County Comprehensive Plan.
We have a motion from Mr. Schultz.
And you're talking about West Side.
Yeah, this is just west.
Okay.
West side.
I just want to make that clear.
If I could just do the north portion, I would, but that's not what we're doing.
We have a motion from Mr. Schultz to agree that this aligns with the comprehensive plan. Do we have a second?
Wow.
I'll make a motion that it does not align with the comprehensive plan, that it is
Well,
excessive.
before I take that, I
in
want to make
size.
sure that we've given adequate opportunity for a second.
There's a lot of dying today, dying for lack of motions and dying for lack of seconds. I shouldn't have taught him that.
You had an idea with the northern part.
I thought, yeah, I get it.
like the northern part, because it makes sense, along the railroad, along 18. But why would you want to develop down here in
Behind
the
Meyer.
middle of farmland? I don't know,
I know there's some, I'm out of turn because there's motions on the floor, but there are along that boundary that follows the city of Marion's sawtooth boundary.
Okay.
And there are some parcels, not all of it. I concede to that there are larger farm ground parcels to the west of those, but there are industrial zoned parcels in those areas. So that's why I picked up those along the edge.
Okay, we are back to seeking a second to Mr. Schultz's motion. Hearing no seconds. Okay, that motion dies without a second. Do we have another motion on the floor? State
made
that
it.
motion again.
I make a motion that we do not accept this plan, that it goes against the comprehensive plan
Okay,
that was written in the past year.
I will second that.
we have a motion from Mr. Hartman that this does not align with the comprehensive plan. We have a second from Mr. Grindle. We have a roll call vote. Mr. Glancy.
That was the first 16th.
Raymond Bear.
To the no.
Is that a no?
Yes.
Cindy Carnes.
Yes, to the no.
Jerry Cudell.
Yes.
Gary Duckwall.
Yes.
Kel Grindle.
Yes.
Ed Hartman.
This is
Yes.
18.
Travis Lemaster.
No.
Port is. That's right there at that angle.
Okay.
Karen Poland.
Yes.
That got you to the area.
So it's fair.
Clayton Schultz.
No.
Wilbur Webb. Yes.
It's not gonna stop anything. And maybe it will.
Do we have enough?
Yep.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to 5.3 concert comprehensive plan conformity review of proposed I-69 State Road 26 economic development area. Is there anything that applies to this? What?
Yeah,
Book out.
so I will, in light of your previous no vote, I would respectfully ask the commission your opinions on if this is a farm ground area that you believe does not comply with the comprehensive plan, you will respectfully withdraw the request this evening.
I mean, I know that I'm the one that made the motion last time, but I was like a 60-40. I saw the room going that way. What happened didn't surprise me. This feels smaller. It's along 69. I've actually talked to people about not knowing that it was about a hearing. It was actually like 6 months ago, but I think Fairmount is the first exit along 69 coming from Indianapolis that isn't developed. So this feels more targeted to me, more rational. I feel like it's different, but I could be wrong.
I'm going to make my comments even though I am extremely biased because my land is within this I'm gonna go ahead and say there's maybe 50-ish households within this boundary. All the rest of it, with the minus the occasional woods, this is all very prime farm ground. And we had a Grandma Stuckey's marathon 20-some years ago that had the opportunity for development at any time. And me personally, I'm glad that nothing ever came to it, because my family has owned my property for 173 years now, and I'm not terribly excited to let that go for development. Just my personal opinions. But I've lived my entire life in this property, and if there's any section of Grant County that's pure farm ground, besides western Grant County, this is it.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to really tread on heavy water here. Cale, I'm going to ask you, because of what you just shared, to recuse yourself.
Yes.
I don't know whether the comments should have been made prior to me asking you to do that. Am I in trouble here, David?
No, you're
Okay.
correct.
Okay. So I'm going to ask.
My vote was going to be biased anyways.
I wasn't going to let you vote.
Okay, that's fine.
So just so we were on the same page here. And I'm not going to vote because I own farm ground there also.
And to speak to the zoning, I mean, there are a couple, again, it just almost kind of seems too big, because there are, right along the interstate, there are a couple business zones and industrial zones that, from what I'm seeing, but the rest is agriculture. Now, you could argue, if you want to develop those business zones, it's a chicken and egg situation. Why would you zone before you have a developer? But, you know.
Brad, my comment to you is, my issue is with these maps. I was not part, neither, none of us were part of the decisions in making these maps, but I think these maps are really a stretch.
Yeah.
And that those are my concern. Personally, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but it would be maybe more receptive from my perspective if we hadn't encompassed such a large area that impact a greater number of landowners, and maybe started smaller, and then if development did occur, then you can always go from there.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation to the commission, is that they reconsider
Yeah. The
these
size and
maps and feel free
Your
to.
comments are well taken, and for this body to understand, there's interest in people who have said TIF the entire county, create everything. But this is, a whittled down version. Your recommendation is to even get smaller. Message sent, message received. We understand what you're after. As was discussed previously in your meeting, it's not in my interest to call any of you individually. You actually made a point in the meeting to make sure that people don't reach out to you for influence. So of course, I didn't call any of you to have input on the maps, but it was public process from the County Redevelopment Commission that went through multiple meetings to decide these. So what you've shared with
Are
me.
you saying that those meetings were advertised and open to the public?
Absolutely, yes, they were. Yeah. They are on YouTube, the County Redevelopment Commission.
I have seen them on YouTube, I will
Yeah.
say. I didn't know what it was, but I
They
saw
are
that.
all advertised and they're broadcasted on for everyone to see.
And to Brad's credit, I literally have never worked with a redevelopment commission that agonized more over the maps than the Grant County Redevelopment Commission. I redrafted the declaratory resolution, I think 5 times, because the maps changed. It was more carefully chosen.
I would encourage you to make the commission aware of what Mr. Hartman has pointed out, that is text in the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I'd like to put in on that too. I mean, we have development out in 69 and 18 that got started and it's sitting out there ugly. We've got RCA that's partially redone. We've got other factories that are light, concrete with steel sticking out of them in the town.
With the utilities already there.
Yeah, without having to, I think we would be for development around 69 and 26 for sure, but not a mile and a
Not
half
that
away.
extended,
Yeah.
not that extended, yes.
Yeah.
There's less of a
Just
zone
in
for
that
business than I
section,
thought
yeah.
after looking at it.
It's just where they used to have that.
Yeah, it's just a little strip.
That little strip right there. That little side road.
So,
Todd,
so coming back to the narrow focus of what we're supposed to do with these ordinances is, does it align with the comprehensive plan? I think we're doing a good job with that. But with the 69 and 26 intersection there, that was laid out very specifically in the maps that this is a potential
Growth area.
growth area. It was that was
in the
very
comprehensive
clear.
plan.
In the comprehensive plan. The other area
Yes.
was not like specifically mapped out for that. And I just want to put that out as, as a fact.
I agree
that
with
is
that.
in there. And maybe I should have brought
Thank you,
one
Todd.
of the
That,
books.
that was the type of thing I was going for with my
Right,
earlier
regardless of what it's zoned. Now, is it too big or too small? It depends on what kind of development, we want to have. We got to have enough space for,
A Walmart.
well, it's not, now it's like, bleh, I don't want that either.
Well,
But the plan itself very specifically points that out.
So, Mr. Glickfield, in the event that, let's say the action was just taken on the west side. Let's say these folks wanted to rethink that and they wanted to come back to us. Is there a time frame?
No, so it would go back to the redevelopment commission to redraw the maps and then bring it back with a redrawn, probably smaller area, I'm assuming, map for the western area. That's the area that I think there's the controversy over the 26 interchange. I don't know if you have rendered a decision on that.
Right.
But they could come back with a smaller area, and I think what you said is exactly correct. Start smaller and then as development happens, maybe grow the map.
I ask you for that feedback so that as we make this next decision, at least we know where our direction could go following our decision. Okay.
Yeah, we will withdraw the second proposal now.
Okay.
So you do not have to vote no for us again. And we will respectfully request at this time, so I have, for my benefit, to go back to the County Redevelopment Commission. Would anyone like to share a little bit about maybe how far north and south and east and
Real
west?
quick though, we were voting that this proposal goes along with the total plan, which he just mentioned that
I
the
think you have better chance than you might
6926 one
Okay.
specifically says it is going along with our county plan. So that's the one that I wouldn't
But the
necessarily.
problem is, Mr. Webb, is that we're extending this into large chunks of prime farm ground, which does not go
Right.
with the comprehensive
Okay.
plan. That's why we're saying if this area was reduced, I mean, the comprehensive stance, I believe, states that we want development, we want
Right.
growth.
Right.
But do we want to make that much prime farm ground available? I think that's what Mr. Hartman was indicating.
Well, and I guess I would like to know, just the redevelopment commission doesn't have any authority whatsoever to sort of make anyone sell their land. They have no statutory eminent domain power. All they have the power to do is to spend the tax increment that exists. And so sort of the counterpoint, the danger, right, of too small is that you never generate, you don't have enough parcels generating increment to be able to do anything meaningful. So if what ends up, the only thing the plan commission can find in the plan, in the comp plan, is 3 derelict gas stations along 69 and 18, you'll never have enough revenue to do anything meaningful in the area.
Okay, so
And that's
am I hearing you say that you've taken this large mass of land in order to take the taxes within that large mass of land to help pay any debt towards development?
Well, that's the idea. I mean, the larger area, because what it is like everything in this area is going to increase in value if there's development on 69 and 18. And because the Redevelopment Commission's efforts are creating that increase in value, right, it helps them to create it. And so it is a balance, right? Not if the area is too small or it doesn't contain anything that,
generates money.
that you might not have enough money to get anything done. And so that's where the Redevelopment Commission is trying to operate, is they have to try to figure out What's big enough to generate adequate revenue to be able to do something where the development does make sense? And they can't force anyone to sell their farm. They can't. They don't have that power.
And they can't force us to rezone it either, or to approve a special exception.
Correct.
Okay,
But your assumption is that property taxes will go up above the base that this land generates. That's the incremental financing that you have to work with.
That'd be the idea. yeah.
And your assumption is that you're gonna have development that will give you the additional tax money, property taxes, above the
Chicken and
base.
the egg, yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, you don't have any additional funds.
Right.
Right.
And this,
So
nothing
you got-
happens
and it
with
costs-
this.
And then nothing changes.
Nothing
You
changes
have
because
to have a
there's
targeted development.
there's no debt,
To make
there's no
something.
debt financing, then there's no cost. It's not hurting anybody. It's not raising anybody's taxes. It's not hurting anything.
The property will probably not go up in value just because
No,
it's this.
no.
It becomes this.
It just affords the county an opportunity to leverage taxes more strategically to this area.
For targeted development.
Yes.
At the size of what you plan to
And
start with.
if something grows
Kinda makes sense.
organically in that area, they capture that growth,
Yeah.
that assessed value that in that growth incrementally, and that captured growth can be used for infrastructure in that area.
Yes, sir. And let me be clear, there is no project. There's no project slated for this area. There's no zoning in place for a project. Has there been phone calls to people of interest in, is land for sale? Yes, that's been happening for 20 years. But there's been nothing in place for anyone to develop sewer, water, zoning, no economic development area in place for any of that development.
any other questions or comments, commission members for Mr. Bookout?
Mr. President, can I give an example
Please.
of why this is relevant? As many of you may or may not know, Gas City I'm city attorney in Gas City, and I'm also attorney for their redevelopment commission. Their TIF district is causing great growth in that area, and it's allowing Gas City to do things that other areas just can't do. What's happened is that area, starting with a Walmart distribution, has brought enormous revenue into that TIF district through property taxes, but it's also generated revenue through the people who work there for county government through their salaries that they pay. We have a local option income tax now, and because of that, revenue comes into the county coffers for the people who work there. And there are other factories in that area which also bring that revenue in. Gas City is able to keep that revenue from the property taxes to continue to develop, build infrastructure, use as tools to negotiate for businesses to come in by saying, we can do this for you, we can do that for you, by doing the bonds like they're talking about, and then providing the infrastructure to help people want to come into this area to bring their factories or whatever they bring. And then those in turn help the county coffers by the income tax for the people who work there coming into the county. As many of you probably follow, county government is under tremendous strain right now because of the criminal justice system. And I think what the commissioner's idea was to try to figure out ways where we could get additional revenue into the county to maybe pay, like for example in Gas City, we could use this TIF revenue to pay for police cars and to pay for services inside the city, which otherwise would be paid through property tax dollars and other miscellaneous sources of revenue. I think what the commissioners were trying to do was trying to figure out ways to get other types of revenue into the county through these types of projects. So that, I hope that illustrates the big picture on what's at stake here. Now, certainly, Mr. Hartman's point, Mr. Grindel's point is very well taken. This enormous swaths of land that are currently there do not comply with a comprehensive plan. And that's why I think, not that it matters, but your suggestion on maybe reducing that area, especially for the one on the west side, I don't know about the one on 26, that doesn't look that large to me, but I think that is very well taken. And I think that's something that the RDC for the county probably will look at and take your suggestion to heart. I hope that helps clarify the big picture here and what the commissioners are actually trying to do.
So it's my understanding you're withdrawing the second part of that. I personally want to thank you, gentlemen, for the efforts that you're making.
Yeah.
We are interested in progress in Grant County, and we'll hope that we can assist along the way.
Very good.
Thank you.
all. Have a good evening. Take care.
Okay, we are going to move on to item 5.4. APC rules. You guys were given and ladies were given a copy of the rules in your packet. We formed a subcommittee of Mrs. Pullen, Mr. Soltz, myself, and Mrs. Richmond, who was here, but she's no longer with us. And I guess what I'm going to suggest is, before I make any suggestions, do we have any comments about the current active rules and procedures? I will say that the things that definitely have to be changed is the fact that the structure of the commission membership has changed. And as Mr. Hertman indicated, with the Robert's Rules part of it, we took an action in the past year to adopt the same thing that the BZA did, and I took the liberty of making copies of the Robert's Rules for Basic Small Boards that I'll pass to everyone. That's going to have to be an amendment or a change to the rules and procedures. And then we've got this issue that we discussed in our special meeting in January, whether we want to have an executive committee or not. So, with that being said, are there other comments about the rules and procedures that we want to discuss before we throw it back at Mr. Soltz, Mrs. Pullen, and myself as the subcommittee for the rules and procedures? Hearing none, what will happen is Mr. Soltz, Mrs. Pullen, and myself, and Mr. Glancy will get together. We'll create a draft, hopefully by our next meeting, and I won't be here, Clayton, so you'll have to run that meeting. But at least we'll have a draft of those changes that I just talked about and any other changes that the subcommittee feels need to be made to the rules and procedures, and we'll provide that, if all goes well, in the March meeting. Comments, Clayton?
I know it's late, but I do just want a general feeling. I don't feel super strongly whether we want an executive committee or not. Because if people are happy not having one, then there's no point in us writing language for it. Or if you guys want one, we can write language for one. My personal feeling is that if there is something so pressing that we don't have time to call a full meeting for it, the president and the executive director can handle it. And if not, and if there's a targeted ask, we can create an ad hoc committee. And anything else, we just call a special meeting. I find it difficult, especially since we make quorum pretty well and we work well and accomplish things in the larger board. I don't see a use case for an executive committee very often, but.
Well, it almost sounds like you've made an executive committee of two people.
Of him? One?
Yes, him.
All right, yeah, him.
And him.
Yeah, right.
And maybe you need a few more. An executive committee is 3 to 9.
Executive committee for what?
For this board.
To do what?
By state law, it recommends that they could make quick decisions on if someone says, I can't make it to the meeting, I won't be ready. I just found out about the meeting and I'm against this petition, but I don't have but 3 days to get ready and I can't get ready. Can we delay till the next meeting? A month later. The executive committee can quickly make that decision on providing that continuance to the next meeting. that's one thing that, it's kind of recommended that they do, and then beyond that, it is up to this full board to decide what the executive committee can work on. And that must be passed by a 2/3 majority. 2/3 of this board decides what an executive committee can do.
And if the executive committee makes a decision, all members must agree. If one is not in agreement, then it automatically comes back to the commission
For a vote.
for a vote.
Yes, the one that is against it can say, I'm taking it back. I'm
It's
against
gotta be
this,
unanimous
taking
of
it
the
back to the
board.
board. Yeah, so
So
it
that
needs
board
to
has
be
to
a
have
unanimous decision, yes.
So is it fair to say, Mr. Hartman, you'd like there to be an executive committee, but maybe not have specific powers laid out yet? Just say executive committee to be elected,
The board has to tell them what to
Yeah.
act on.
The board has to decide what
Like
they
we,
can
like
do.
we would have to say, we wanted, like if there was something, we wanted some special project or something we were wanting, like we were gonna draft something, or we would send it to an executive committee to go study it or whatever.
Or if they're doing performance
Performance
appraisals,
reviews, something like that.
making a decision, that we don't want to bog down
You
the
don't
whole
need
board
15
trying to do
people
that.
doing that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you had, you gotta have at least 3, that's what it says, you can't have more than 9. Ideally, we should probably stay under a majority,
You gotta stand
because
another
then you can
quorum.
make any decision.
Right.
Practically, well, you know what I mean. You could then come back to the full board and vote it your way. If you had 9 members and 7 voted one way.
Well, we can
Doesn't
make
matter
this
what the other
decision
two
right now,
don't
Mr. Hartman. Are you making a motion that we have an executive committee in our rules and procedures?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a
You have
second
an
on Mr. Hartman's
executive
motion that we're gonna have rules of?
Of 5.
I'll second that.
A second for Mr. Caudell. Okay, let's do a roll call vote. We're gonna go to bed sometime tonight.
And this is, to be clear, this is an executive committee of 5.
Of 5.
That's what he said.
And you'll elect members.
And we'll decide what it is that the committee can do.
Yeah.
Is that your
Yes.
motion also?
Well, this will all be played out in the rules and procedures, which the body will discuss. This is just for the committee to take, the subcommittee to take under consideration.
Correct.
To present.
Roll call.
And Jerry made second.
Jerry made a second.
Sorry. Raymond Bear.
Yes.
Cindy
Long
Carr.
night.
That was painful.
Jerry Cadell.
Yes.
Gary Duckball.
Yes.
Kel Grindle.
Yes.
Ed Hartman.
Yes.
Travis Lemaster.
Yes.
Karen Poland.
Yes.
Clayton Schultz.
Yes.
Wilbur Webb.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, enough of rules and procedures. We're gonna have some pretty soon. Okay, 5.5, review and outline of the data center ordinance.
So did we need to vote on the subcommittee for the rules?
We already did. We had it,
It's standing.
it's standing
Okay,
from last year.
all right.
Okay.
Mr. President, would it be in order to table this discussion?
It would be in order to table it. It might be beneficial, since it's been in your packet, that if anyone has any discussion, we could quickly make comments or questions so that we all might benefit from that. Todd, I want you to share with us what the documents you prepared, what your intent was, and then we're going to table it.
Okay, so the first document was back in October, which was a Indiana data center review with concept. So kind of in October, I assume it's changed by now. This was the state of different data center ordinances throughout Indiana and the concepts that they were putting in there. So I wanted to make sure that we are looking at this from a concept standpoint, that we're not missing something, or we want to be creative and do something new. And so from there, which I got very little feedback on, but at least it started, we're talking about it in a public meeting, the public, I didn't get anything from the public either, so. I look at this as the next step is let's make an outline, because we're gonna make a detailed document, an ordinance at the end of the day. Go from ideas to an outline, and, you know, the things we have in the outline, the numbers and the setbacks, that will work out. It's that we have the setbacks in there, and those details will work out as a subcommittee moves forward, and then, you know, put into play by the whole APC. So that's just my thought process. I haven't heard a whole lot for or against, but so the next step in my mind is I take this outline and put it into ordinance format. Again, the details of you know, how big are the setbacks and what kind of landscaping is supposed to go around it? Is it supposed to be mounds or dirt or, you know, whatever, those kind of details is up to the committee, but I can put it in a certain format that we can work with.
In an attempt to move this forward, I would ask if someone wanted to make a motion for Todd to do that, to put this in an actual ordinance format. So that's the document that we can work on in regard to what we like. Now, he's given us some things to consider that should be in the document, so I would hang on to this material. But I don't think it'd be that difficult for him to put this in ordinance form, and that would be what we would begin to work on. Anybody opposed to that? Questions, commission members?
Maybe email him before he writes it if you have thoughts on this.
Yes.
If there's something you want added or taken
Yeah.
away. I saw
Give me a
two
call
little
or
things, but I
whatever.
don't want to talk about it tonight.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll send it.
Somebody want to make a motion that will ask Mr. Glancy to put this in a ordinance form?
I will.
Mr. Webb makes a motion. We have a second.
A second.
Second from Gary Duckwall. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Hartman's opposed. Motion carries. Put it in an ordinance form, Todd, and we'll work on that. Okay, we're gonna move on. You guys have been good tonight. Reports, resolution, communications, and general discussions. Mr. Whitfield.
No report.
Okay. Mr. Glancy.
Again, like with the BZA, not quite ready. I've requested some information from staff and so on, and we're just not quite there.
Okay.
If I do it, I want to do it right, so I
Appreciate
don't want
that.
to wing anything.
All right. So in review, we're going to come up with a new annual calendar that says 7 o'clock instead of 6, so there's no confusion about start time of meetings.
Yes.
Remember that? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Hartman to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second from Mrs. Poland. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. They won't always be like this, you guys.
2 hours. 2 and 2.
Please come back.
I'm smart. Where's the food at?
Please come back.
Yeah,
It's 2 hours of malfunction. When I came, we had 2 hours now. Nuts.
Yeah, because we came the same time. Yeah, we were this short.
Like, is this legal? Is that legal?
So you started
No.
It's like 40. Oh, tell you.
Davidson.
Okay. I feel like
I didn't watch it. So is it starting 1-1 or
Yeah.
22?
It's not enough.
Yeah.
least, right?
Technically, it's only a 1 year because I'm filling in for
They want to
my term might expire.
Your term is,
Right, but I also.
So how far are they gonna go on the north side of 23? I don't know. See, him earlier, he owned most of that ground on the south side. And the president's got. some
Technically, right
ground
now, I'm
that was
not
all
elected.
solar.
I'm only
Right.
chosen to fill a spot as somebody who moves out of town.
Further away than I do.
She's coming up in May.
is it gonna be this year?
600. I'm sorry.
722, no, 500.
Yeah.
It isn't.
So 600 comes the curve at 600 along the interstate and then hit.
I do like it when we have something to talk about.
You know, I need all the help I can get. That's all the work I'm gonna get out of. Thanks, Raymond.
Everybody's.
Term expires, you put January or December 31st?